And welcome to Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. I'm Steve Swatt with the Sacramento Report, and in the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about some of the education provisions in Governor Brown's budget and State of the State message. My guest this segment is Joan Buchanan, who is a member of the State Assembly from the East Bay in Northern California, Alamo, Walnut Creek. Thank you very much for being with us.
Happy to be here.
So you chair the Education Committee in the Assembly, and so that's where all this legislation is going to go first. One of the most controversial provisions in the governor's budget really is this new formula for education funding, in which some of the poorer districts, those in poverty areas, would get more money because they're teaching more kids to learn English and things like that. You represent generally a suburban area in California. What's your take on this?
Well, let me just start out by saying I agree with the governor's goal. I mean, there's no doubt that children who live in poverty, that English language learners, that foster students require more resources to give them the same high-quality education as all other students. So I agree with the goal. The problem is we have a system that's very convoluted. You know, you have a district like LA Unified and another like Fresno Unified, both urban school districts. LA's funded at this level, Fresno at this level. You can go out where I live into the East Bay and San Francisco, a suburb, and Dublin Unified is funded at this level. San Ramon Valley Unified next door is funded at a lower level. And the problem is that all these school districts have their contracts, their budgets, their programs have all been designed around the current funding levels that they receive. And they have, people expect those contracts to be honored, parents expect those programs to continue. And so the question in my mind is, how do we move from where we are today into a system that accomplishes the governor's goals? I also have to say that it's a myth that suburban school districts are funded at a high level and urban at another. And when you talk about San Ramon Valley that I mentioned, I was on the board there for almost 2 decades. It's the 4th lowest funded unified school district in the state of California, far lower than most urban districts. And the other point I would mention is that California just dropped from 47th to the 49th in the nation in per pupil funding. So you can rearrange the chairs on the Titanic all you want, but we're still 49th in funding. So overall, we're going to have to find a way long term to get our funding levels up so we can provide an adequate education to all the schools.
Would you at least acknowledge that many of the urban school districts do need more money because they have tougher challenges?
I would acknowledge, yes, but I would also, again, the reason they have those challenges is because the kids, they tend to educate more of the kids who are in poverty, English language learners, and foster kids, and there's no doubt we have to provide more resources.
This probably will be a battle royal in the legislature. The governor proposed it last year and it went nowhere.
Right.
And so politically, do you think it's up against too much opposition?
Politically, I think you're going to see people taking sides and drawing lines in the sand.
Across party lines.
Across party lines. I mean, when it comes to educating your children, parents always used to tell me, when you hurt my child, you bring out the animal instinct in me. And parents, regardless of where they live, want their kids to receive a high-quality education. I talked with someone at one of the districts school districts in my assembly district. He said, Joan, if this funding formula is implemented, we'll get a $100 increase in per student next year, and our funding will be flat for a decade. Well, if their funding's flat for a decade and their utility bills go up and other bills go up, the only thing they can do is cut program.
Fascinating. Well, we're certainly going to watch the progress of this legislation in the next few months. Joan Buchanan, thank you very much for coming by and talking about it.
Thank you.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. A reminder that you can see this and other interviews on YouTube, also on My Government on Demand. I'm Steve Swatt. Have a great day.